No, you don't see me, Sky. I'm hiding pretty good. Oh, you can see my hat, can't you? You can see my hat. Okay, you can see my hat. I'm sorry, I'm yelling. Hello, Sky. Hello, Sky. How you doing? Woo, woo. Let me move this over here. Let's see. It's right down there. Hello, Sky. Oh my gosh, anyone else here? You belong with Myra. Has returned as well. Hello. Hello, Sky. Cha-cha-la-la, I was waiting for you in the Pokemon stream. I didn't have you for all the jokes that what was I talking about? I didn't have you for jokes. Well, actually, some people help, like Sandman and Small help with jokes. Hello. Been so long since I streamed on Twitch and VR. Let me go ahead and move some things around really quick too. Put this over here, because I feel like I keep looking down. I put this right here. Wait, does that help? No. Put it over here. Oh no. I'm more used to streaming on TikTok now than I am on Twitch. Let me move stuff around even more. It's so scuffed. If I go like this, I'm gonna hit the wall. If I go like this, maybe, and then I put this one down here. I should also make that transparent. Oh, that's pretty good actually. I move this over here. This might be strange for me to look at, but let's try it. Ziggbee, hello. Hello. Let me see, I'll read your comments. So, do you like that you can see your messages up there? Do you like that? I should do a poll for that. I guess I can't easily do polls. It requires me to typey in the keyboard. Let me close this thing too. Whoa. Let me read the messages now too. We have Sky sees me because Sky saw me. I was hiding a little bit, though my hat was kind of poking out. Ziggbee, cha-cha-la-la. What? It was 5 a.m. for me. Oh, that's like super early. Maybe I should stream more tonight. I don't know if I'll stream more tonight because I need to eventually go to bed, so we'll see. Because I need to start decorating a little bit of Christmas stuff. I need to get Christmas lights too, because mine are probably all broken. And I want newer ones that are more brighter in colors. I have been playing Pokemon on Twitch for a while. I don't think you have done a TikTok stream in a while. Yeah, I haven't done TikTok stream in a while. I think the last one I did was maybe sometime last week, if that. Taylor, Ziggbee, you're back. Yes, I'm back. For now, I am. Cha-cha-la-la. My Ziggbee alarm woke me up for your stream at 7, but you'd already streamed. No, I didn't stream yet. It was Pokemon. It was bonus. I want to do it for just for fun. This is the actual stream we're going to try. I like seeing the chat. It helps for voids too. Oh, VODs. Videos on demand. Yes, it does, because in the past, I kind of miss all the chat I've lost over the year, almost 2 years. So now I'm gonna keep the chat because I like reading your messages and stuff. It adds to the stream, I think, and which is really fun. Also voids. Hello, Sandman. Hello, Sandman. Hey, you can take the pancakes for the sugar. I saw your message on Discord. I'll get back with you on that. What's going on now? Oh, hopefully. I don't know if Seb's fully tested his equipment yet. His VR equipment is for his small otter self. We have like specialized VR equipment. Hopefully his works. He'll probably join us pretty soon, which will be nice. Sandman, that's too early. That's too early, shrimps. You gotta wait for a Sib to appear. You gotta wait for a wild Sib to appear before you throw your shrimp and try to capture him. That's like a Pokemon joke almost. It helps for voids too. Yes, when we have the phone in the toilet with us. Cha-cha-la-la. Summon. No, Tater, you can't summon. It's the equipment's not working yet and stuff. Ziggy, how are you doing? Hello, Spooky Blooky. I am doing pretty good. I'm doing all right. I'm kind of behind on the Christmas stuff. I need to decorate some things. And yeah, mainly decorate things. Whoa! I've also said on the Pokemon store, I'm trying to eat a little bit more healthy too. Boy, why didn't I hear that? Oh no.
Isaac June just
resubscribed
for 9 months. Welcome back, Ziggbee.
I'll have to just thank people even though it doesn't shout it. Thank you, Adorn, for resubscribing at 1 month, tier 1, and being subscribed for 9 months. Welcome back, Ziggbee. Missed you. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Doran. I appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, it's not doing the loud sound effects and stuff. The only way for me to fix it would be to close my streaming software and reopen it, but that would stop the stream. I don't want to do that. Doran, oh, you're reading the message twice. What? I'll have to catch more? What do you mean, Sam? Pokemon or Sibs? I love the Christmas background. Yeah, I came here last year because it has like Christmas trees and it has like snows outside. I'm very pleased to see that people in the neighborhood, some of them have, like, put them in front. I said this last year. You put their Christmas tree in front of like their big windows, like in their living rooms, I assume, and they show off their Christmas tree, and you can see it when you're driving or walking by someone's house in the evening or day. Why am I getting cursed? What's going on? I'm getting cursed, everybody. Give me a moment. What's going on here? Am I still cursed? That was weird. Maybe I'm getting too close or something. Wait, let me check to see. I do have both. Is my tech working? Yeah, my tech is working. It's just being silly. I'm just getting cursed sometimes. That's all right. Okay, how you doing? I'm doing good, thank you. Oh, I think I read that twice already. Sorry. I'm looping. Hello, the gaming dead butt. Hello. Salmon, I have to go catch more. I read that already before too. I gotta go up to the bottom. I love the Christmas background. I read that too. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm losing it. All right, let's see here. Axolotl, hello. That's a new message. My mom loves to drive through neighborhoods to see Christmas decorations. Oh, Paige, that sounds wonderful. It's something I like to do a little bit too. I don't actively do it, but I do drive sometimes in the evening in my ferret car. I don't need to, I can fly. But yeah, I like to look at some of the decorations. Some people do really fancy decorations, and it's like, I don't know how they do it, but they really go all out and make really nice decorations, like all over the house, things in the front yard, and some of them look very classy and like, ooh, fancy, and some look very playful and fun with lots of blow up things. Just like, they like just throw all their Christmas stuff out, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of Christmas stuff, but I like it. Did you tell Siv about the special Pokemon we caught? What special Pokemon? You mean the otter one? You mean the stinky one? I might have to bring that up possibly. I got skipped. What? Small, did I skip you? Ziggbee, hello Small. I see you. Deja vu. Yeah, I'm looping, Spooky. Lots of deja vu apparently for this stream. What? Are we in a loop? No, we're not. I think I got out of it, thankfully. Axolotl, oop. We used to have tons of blow-up decorations in the yard. Oh, those are fun. I like the dragon ones. You ever see the dragon Christmas ones? I remember a couple years ago on Twitter, a woman got a mean letter from someone saying, "Dragons aren't for Christmas. That's just blasphemous." And the lady was like, "I'm telling you, Twitter." And then she told Twitter, and then she bought more blow-up dragons and put even more on the front lawn, and Twitter rejoiced. Hooray! They even took like Halloween dragons and put Christmas hats on them. Nothing quite screams dragons like Christmas. Thank you, Macamac. There can be Christmas dragons. Come on, there's Christmas everything. It doesn't have to be limited to reindeer and Santa Claus and elves and dragons. Note the Pokemon we named Shrimp. Oh, which one do we name Shrimp? Which one do we name Shrimp? Oh, that one. Oh no, I don't think I told Sib that. I don't think I did. Oh, when I get a house, I'm going to get Christmas dragons. They're expensive though. They can stay up there through October and then just add the hats. Exactly, that's true. That's very true. You can do that. I like that idea. Life goals. Oh, that's a good life goal. I like that life goal. I think the blow dragons are like, I don't know what part of the world you're in, but I'm saying USD, US dollars. I think they're around 200 or more. I saw one thing for Halloween. This is not Halloween, obviously. I saw a werewolf, and it was like $300 or $400. It's like, oh my gosh, things are so expensive. But then I found out later it was kind of more fancier than I thought because its eyes were digital. It could open the eyes, and I think it could move its mouth. And it's like, whoa. It was really tall too. It was like super tall. But yeah, it's very expensive. If I get a house, I'm gonna paint dragons on all the windows. Small. Yeah, whoa. That, if you're wondering where I saw it, it was at Home Depot. It was at Home Depot, a big werewolf. If you search, you can probably see on Google old images and some videos of it. It was really cool looking. Whoa. I'm sure Home Depot probably only cost Home Depot like $50 to buy, but then they mark it up a huge amount. Whoa. Sorry, I'm running around all silly on stuff. Hello, geek. Hello, geek. I just call you geek. Torah Secret. Hello. Oh, I skipped one. Spooky Bookie. Oh, can you draw Christmas lights? Kind of, I can, yeah. I can draw a little bit, maybe. We'll see, though. I kind of just want to hang out. It's been so long. I would love to see a Nightmare Before Christmas themed decorations, just skeletons and monsters. Oh my gosh. Cha-cha-la-la, that would work. You can save decorations because you can use Halloween decorations for Christmas. You get double bang for your buck of decorations. Every year in Germany, they have dragons slaying. No, Mac, that sounds terrible. You never need to slay the dragons. You need to give them hugs and give them treasure. Give them lots of treasure.
Ziggbee?
Oh, yeah?
Ziggbee, what's all that noise?
What? I'm just laughing. Where are you?
Who are you talking to?
Well, I'm talking to people.
What's going on? What are you doing?
I was just hanging out here.
What's up?
I was talking,
What?
talking to everybody.
Just hanging out. What? Is that who I think it is?
Yeah.
Ziggbee, it's been so long.
It's been ages.
You don't ever call me or text me no more, huh? You know what? Okay. All right. Isaac, thank you for those shrimps. I will accept them. Tatum, thank you. Axolotl. Isaac, again, thank you. Look, okay. Ziggbee doesn't feed me any shrimps. And look at all the weight that I lost.
Wait, I give you shrimps. I give you shrimps.
Ziggbee, I'm trying to get some pity shrimp. Okay.
Oh, pity shrimps?
All right.
Okay,
Yeah, pity shrimp, okay?
fine. Pity shrimps.
All right. Ziggbee doesn't. I don't have any shrimps. Thank you for those shrimps. And Mac and Paige, thank you. Mara, thank you. Taylor, wow. So many shrimps. I need them because thank you. I accept them all. Thank you.
Drama queen.
Ziggbee, I know you've been planning this stream for over a month.
No.
Show us the exciting content that you have planned.
I did not plan it for over a month.
Oh,
I'm gonna edit your audio though, because you're loud for me, but you're great for the.
I'm loud.
You're great for the stream though.
Okay. All right. Ziggbee is always trying to silence me.
No. No.
Small, I can eat as many as I want, okay? Even if I get thick otter booty. Again, because I lost so much weight because I didn't have no shrimps.
What are you talking about thick otter booty? What are you doing?
You know, Ziggbee, just talking otter things.
Oh gosh.
I'll turn pink. That is true. Flamingos are pink, I think, because they eat shrimps. But this is what I want to know. Okay, do they feed them shrimps in the zoo? It seems like that would be cost prohibitive, especially if they're premium imported jumbo shrimp, as they should be. So that's what I want to know. Like, do the zoos feed them shrimp? And if not, how are they pink? Is it a lie? I don't know. Oh, Mira, I missed you too. I missed you all so much. It's been so long since Ziggbee. Am I still loud? All right. Okay. Well, you tricked us only showing your upper body, then we see the otter badonkabonk. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay. Now that I got all those shrimps, I back to my normal, beautiful otter self. Ziggbee, I don't know what to do. It's been too long. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to keep it going, but they keep talking about otter booty and cake.
Otter booty? Otter booty? What's going on with otter booty?
I'm still spooky? It's spooky month, isn't it? Thank you, Axolotl. Thank you for the shrimp. Salmon, thank you.
We're still spooky? No. Oh, because you're wearing bats on you. But you can wear bats. So.
Yeah, I could wear a bat. Look, okay, you know what? I could do what I want.
I'll do what I want. Oh,
Ziggbee, we got our first redeem, hydrate from Sandman.
Okay, I'll drink some waters.
That's it. Just okay.
I'll drink some water. So do you know?
All right, I'm gonna go crack open a brand new coconut.
Everyone's chat will be saved for eternity. Up here. You're syndicated. You're all syndicated. That word is fancy. I'm supposed to drink water. Syndicated means, I think it's recorded on video or something. This water may make me cursed. Oh my gosh. Just so you know. Oh my gosh, don't sneeze. I'm gonna drink a little bit, okay? You can't hear a drink though. I don't have my cool flask. Delicious water. Delicious. There we go. I didn't see some sneeze. Oh, my nose. I think I hear Sue trying to find the water. Curse Ziggbee, I know the water just don't sneeze. The VR headset like rests on my nose and make it want to sneeze. Okay.
Ziggbee, don't sneeze, please.
Oh my God, my nose. Oh, stop that.
I just had to crack open a brand new coconut. I had to go pick it because it's been so long, Ziggbee.
Sim.
Yeah?
I think I'm in decline. I'm in decline.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Who cares?
Hey, Ziggbee, happy stream. Thank you. Thank you, Captain Jet. Thank you. Whoa. So, but
okay, that coconut water tastes a little weird.
I hope not. It was brand new coconut water, wasn't it?
I'm gonna have to look at the expiration date on that coconut. But
hopefully it was okay.
We'll see.
Sneeze for
Ziggbee.
us. No, Tatum. Look at sneeze on you. Oh, you remind me, watermelon drink. Oh, I know. Yes.
Watermelon?
Yeah.
Watermelon drink does sound good. I need to maybe try that. Dirty water, it's actually small. It's actually not dirty because how is the dirt gonna get in the coconut? But sometimes it does go bad, possibly. I will have to look at the expiration date on that, and maybe I might have to leave stream possibly early if it was really bad.
Get close.
Wait, what's going on?
Put my paw around you. Give you little hugs.
Oh, okay, I love your hugs, Ziggbee.
Oh, thank you. I love you.
Oh.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Sib.
Let me turn your audio up because you're too quiet.
I got confessions. I got confessions.
Save it for me. No, you tell it. I'll listen.
Wait, is my audio
I'll be
okay?
over here.
It's always
The
confusion.
_Sandman_ just resubscribed
Wait.
for 20 months. 20
Why is
months.
Stream
in the
Elements
Big
going?
Bean
I don't
community.
see Stream
Missed
Elements.
you.
Oh my gosh, I
Here
don't hear
always.
it. Is it?
Ziggbee
Wait,
heart, hug, Ziggbee
can I ask you
heart, hug.
something? Do you hear the Stream Elements sounds? Or no? Because I see it going on the soundboard, but I don't see it. Yep. Oh my gosh, you can hear it. It must be super loud. I'm sorry. I don't hear it though. Sandman, resubscribe for 1 month. A tier 2. Oh my gosh, Sandman, you keep being so fancy. I think you and Muse are in tier 2. Too fancy, but you can if you want to. I wish you had more benefits though. Thank you for being subscribed. Tier 2 for a total of 20 months. Sandman, are you a dragon? You probably. You look a horde. 20 months in the Big Bean community. Miss y'all here always. Oh, thank you, Sandman. Sandman's also a Big Bean community supporter and a sugar bean. Thank you, Sandman, for resubscribing. Sandman
Ziggbee.
got me beat by a month. Whoa, I'm getting cursed
Whoa.
again.
You okay, Ziggbee?
Uh-oh. I see what's
Ziggbee.
happening here. How do I fix this?
Ziggbee, you nervous? Okay. What's going on? I saw
I think
that.
I'm twisted a little bit. Hey, does that fix
Yeah,
me?
I know. I saw that. Was it nerves or?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
It's okay. It's
Been a
all right. Look,
while.
it's been a long time. Okay,
It's
we're getting
been
back
a
into it.
long
All right.
time without you, my friend. But I'm
Thank you, Ziggy.
thinking
Thank you.
about. I don't know the rest of the song, but something like that. It's kind of a sad song, I think.
What was I gonna say?
Broken. Duh, I'm gonna fix myself. What were you gonna say?
Ziggy, what? No, you just can't leave the screen and leave me on here again. I don't know what to
No,
do.
I'm right here.
It's been
I'm in
too
the
long.
background.
Oh.
I'm looking
Okay, you
into
scared
space.
me. I didn't know where you were.
looking into
Why are you
space.
T-posing, Zigby? Zigby, what's going
Sometimes
on?
you gotta T-pose. Sometimes you have a.
Oh my
sometimes you want
gosh.
to T-pose to make sure that. I like a little teapot. Oop.
Sometimes you gotta T-pose.
Yeah.
Can we try Pictionary, see if that thing works still, or if it's broken?
Want to try to open it? It said not connecting to the server. Is that a problem?
Let me try it.
It was saying not connected to the server. Zazzy, hi. 3D Ziggbee and hi Sib. I'm always 3D. Oh, that's not true. I guess I am 2D on this Pokemon stream. I'm dying. You guys are so funny. What are you talking about, Spooky? You're not even trying to be fun. This is just normal.
Yeah, what's funny about us, huh?
You making fun of us? You want to fight? I was kidding. I'm joking. I'm not gonna fight you.
Zigby,
What?
stop fighting them.
Oh, Sib, earlier, I shouldn't bring attention to this probably. When I was doing Pokemon stream, a nice person was saying that it would give me, I could buy views and not subscribers, that would be expensive. I could buy views and followers on Twitch. Woo!
Heck yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Then
Oh.
Muse banned them for me.
But how are you gonna get the subscribers and views and stuff?
No, I guess I'll have to do it
Oh, no.
organically.
Organically. Ugh.
Whoa, that's very time consuming, I know. Not they
Who would
buy
want to do
views.
that?
I got that today. How spooky you did. I guess they're making their rounds of trying to get. They're fishing. Oh, don't sneeze. They're always fishing with bots. Because the bots just spam it, and there's no person doing it, so they get like, maybe someone will buy it, and I make a little bit of dollars, just a little bit of dollars. Boo bots, yeah, darn. Boo to them. Boo to the bots. What Slay? What is Small doing? Excuse, I was the one who. Oh my gosh, Small. I'm always like sassing you. I didn't mean to do that on purpose that time. It was Small, Sib. Small gets the credit. Thank you, Small. Small, I saw you.
Can you make sure the Pictionary overlay maybe is refresh it?
Yeah, let me go off screen.
No, Zigby, don't go off
Wait,
screen.
what do you mean? I gotta open it and stuff. I don't have an open.
Just act cool. Act cool. Do it.
Okay.
Talk to them and.
Hello, everybody.
Try-
I'm just pushing. Oh
Ah,
gosh,
cool.
that's not where I wanted it to appear. Hello, everybody. Okay, that's fine. Oh, look at you with the screen. Hello. Okay, now you can look at Windows directly. Maybe.
Don't tell them that,
Oh.
Zigby. You gotta
Oh.
act like you're talking to them.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing good. I don't think it feels like I'm faking now. That's on the subscription.
No, I do it all the time, Zigby.
Cold
you?
spaghetti monster
I
just
think
sent
that's
Yeah.
open. There, it's open now. I see.
Okay.
It's connected.
Did you in OBS?
OBS. OBS.
What clouds? Colds. I can't. Cold spaghetti
What was it
monster.
called?
Subscribe for 1 month. Tier 1. That name is a little bit difficult to read. I would have. I like to hear Zigby try to read it. Thank you for subscribing.
Oh my gosh, what was the overlay called? Please tell me I still have the overlay.
It's okay, Zigby. It's
I
okay.
see.
It's okay. It's
Oh wait, here it is.
Zigby,
It's
calm down.
game.
You're freaking out. Okay, you're freaking out. Calm down.
I can freak out if I want to.
It's okay.
How do I open this?
It's all
I
right.
double click it.
It's all right. Hey, he's all right. He's okay. Zigby's
Are
okay.
you sure I'm okay?
It's all right. Hey.
Do you want me to refresh
Slow
the
down, okay?
cache?
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that. Whatever that is.
Hopefully it's not covered by anything. Is it covered by anything? How can we test it though? Is there a way to test it easily? It should be cache refreshed or something.
Oh yeah, let me just.
Cache refresh. I don't know why it's. Oh yeah, I see it, but it's covered by the chat. Is that okay?
Oh well.
Okay.
What you gonna
It
do?
still works, so that's pretty.
Wait, can you move chat down?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Cloud spaghetti does sound good. I wonder what that would be like. Paige, thank you for those shrimps. I will gladly take them. And Zazzy, I did see those shrimps earlier.
I'm gonna put chat on you,
I
Sib.
accept them
Putting chat on
with
you.
open arms. I welcome them into my mouth.
Okay, they were locked up there. There you go. Now it's not in the way. Come on, completely.
Woo, we're doing Pictionary. Let's see if this works. Ziggbee, what color you want?
I'm doing it right now. Oh, there's posture
missed you
check.
too,
I'll do
Zazzy.
salmon 5 minutes ago. Posture check. My posture is immaculate.
It's beautiful. What color is
It's
it?
as
I
it's
wasn't
supposed to
listening.
be. Premium beans not included. I gotta do these redeems. Premium beans not
Okay.
included, everybody.
All right, I'm gonna try
There's some beans
Pictionary.
for you. There's some beans for you. I think
No,
it helps by
axolotl, it's-
saying it in a cute way like that.
It's not bad. It's November. It's not bad.
It's December. There's some beans for you.
Wait, it's December?
It's December 1st.
Oh my gosh, no way.
It's December 1st.
Whoa. Whoa, I did not know that.
Oh, really? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
It's
Sib,
okay. You know what?
I captured a
You know
crab
what?
on Pokemon and called it shrimp, and I also caught an otter and called it Stinky Sib. Continue.
Wait, what?
Nothing?
What? What was that?
Tongue stickiness.
What'd you say?
Nothing. I was.
Well, somebody got it. Ziggbee. Somebody got it.
What was the.
It was candy.
What?
The answer was
I
candy.
yelled really loud. What'd she do? We didn't even have it doing
Who
drawing.
was it? Sandman. Oh, okay. All right. I see. Small. Let's see here, Ziggbee. Who was it? But look, I understand. Look, I understand.
Wait,
that
Sandman.
This was kind
What's
of like
a
a
candy
test thing,
caner?
But normally guessing
joking.
Pictionary is not allowed before we start drawing.
I'm gonna
Just so
get
you
you
know,
my
okay?
candy cane. I'm a
So
candy
this is, hey,
caner.
this is look.
What?
I'm not. Look. Hey, this is a warning.
Whoa.
Are you talking over me?
Yes. What's up? Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
The Sandman said candy caner. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna get you with my candy
That was the
caner.
answer. Let's see the results.
Yeah. Okay.
Potato pancakes.
Wow.
I didn't even see. You must have guessed it super early.
Wait, Sandman's on there.
Sandman guessed too late, Ziggbee. I'm sorry, Sandman.
Woo, woo, woo.
Potato pancakes. It's small axolotl.
Fair,
Got
here's
the
some
last
premium
second. Nice
beans again.
job. So we know that works now, Ziggbee. We're back in business.
Yes.
Okay. We're making a comeback. All right.
Woo. Yes.
Wait.
Making a huge
Wait.
comeback.
Yeah.
What?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm doing really good.
Just good?
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing great? Oh, come here
great.
for a big hug. Oh.
I'm not doing amazing
the hug.
because I don't know if I like the way I put overlays and my sweater's getting in the way of my tracker. So it's fine.
The spider?
It's fine.
Wait, what'd you
My
say?
sweater's getting in the way of the tracker
sweater, okay.
sometimes. Yeah.
Scare me. I thought you said spider.
No. No.
I didn't know what you're talking about.
What?
Look, we got so much to tell you. It was such a busy, like, was that 2 months, Ziggbee? How is it December?
A month and a-
That's what I'm asking.
It just,
You know what I
It just
mean?
happened today, I think.
Just today? It just happened today?
It happened. This day's December 1st.
that's so weird.
Yeah.
Um,
It went too fast.
Thank you, Sandman.
You know what's weird too? Like, it'll be January pretty soon, and it'll be in slow motion until the next holidays. And the holidays come and they go by too fast. You get too busy and they disappear.
that's true.
Basically, I'm
That's true.
saying we should
What?
keep the Christmas
Ziggbee-
decorations up for many months after this January.
That's true. We leave it up a little bit. Ziggbee, what have we been up to like all this time? Yeah.
Seasonal depression.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No. Oh, we went to.
Seasonal
No,
depression.
we went to a
Oh.
wedding. We went to a wedding.
We went to a wedding.
Ziggbee say same.
Look, it was a black tie wedding. Ziggbee had the cutest little tuxedo.
Thank you. Yes, I did.
Looked so cute.
I don't usually wear fancy tuxedos. It was a lot of fun to wear a tuxedo and feel so fancy.
The little bow tie.
Yeah, I had a bow tie. Thankfully, it was already tied.
Oh, I know. I was worried about that too. I was like,
Yeah.
how do you tie a bow tie?
We even had
But then
a
it was already
fancy
tied.
pocket square. We kind of went to a place.
We have pocket squares.
We rented it basically. We rented like a little cute little suit, and they gave us everything we needed. So it
Yeah.
looked fancy.
It looked fancy. Had nice drinks. I spilled 2 drinks. One
I
on a
remember
fancy
that.
couch, but nobody noticed. So
The first time you did it was on the couch. I was trying to take recordings and just pictures and stuff, and you're like, "Whoops!" And you just spill it on the couch, and it's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!" And then when we
Oh
had
my
dinner, when there
gosh.
was a dinner at the table,
Oh.
just knocked over the glass.
hey, I never spilled drinks. Like in 3 years, I've never spilled a drink. And then at this wedding, I spilled 2.
I think that's like a record. I don't think anyone could
Yeah,
beat
that's-
your record. 2.
I don't think I've ever spilled a drink on a
2
fancy
drink
couch
spilling.
before. I do recommend it. Okay, if you have a chance to, spill a drink on a fancy couch.
Don't think it was like fancy. It was fancy drinks messing with Sid's coordination. It happened
It
way
might have been,
early
Sid. It
on.
might have been.
Mira just
What?
It did, yeah, okay. The first one happened early on. The
Yeah.
second one, maybe a little bit, coconut water. Exactly.
Maybe spicy coconut water. Too much spicy coconut water.
Too much spice in there. Let's see what else. Oh, Ziggbee. Everyone was flirting with Ziggbee.
What? Oh.
You don't notice those things. I notice those
I don't
things.
notice when
I
people
said,
flirt.
Zigbee's married.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm married.
But all the old ladies wanted to dance with Ziggbee. They were lining up.
You're bringing it up again? Yes. Listen, the lady was dancing and came over, so I just tried to dance with them. Be like, yeah, okay, I'll dance with you. Woo, woo.
You did great. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. Ziggbee danced with the bride.
Yeah, it did
And
a little bit.
made her tangle up her dress.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
fun.
I was dancing with the bride a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not a dancer. I just like move around basically. Ooh, this is fun.
Just wiggles.
And I think she did a spin or got close to someone, and someone stepped partly on her dress and almost tripped over a lady. Oh my gosh. I was like, oh no. That was scary. But she didn't fall, thankfully. She did not fall.
Thankfully.
She
Oh,
got her heel
disaster
stuck.
almost.
She got her heel stuck, and she was like, "Whoa!" Oh, like, "Oh no, 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 no!" You take what? Small says we make too much chaos. What?
Yeah, you know
We
what?
do actually.
If you invite us to your wedding, we're gonna cause some damage.
We're gonna mess it
all
up.
right? Yeah, we're gonna mess it up.
I loved at the wedding. They were super fancy about food. There was so much food.
Oh my gosh, there was so much food.
I loved it. They had
It was
like a
crazy.
cocktail after the beautiful ceremony and the vows, and then we had a cocktail thing, and they had drinks and snacks, and then we go to a dining
nice
hall and had a dinner and salads and desserts, and then at the end we were like tired, we left, but they were gonna have pizza.
Wait, were they gonna have pizza?
They had whole piles of pizza on the table in the
Oh my
library
gosh.
area.
You're right.
I was
Oh
like, oh my gosh.
my gosh. Yeah, that was wild. Frida, invite us to your wedding. Small, I'd be very happy to attend yours. Shane! Hey Shane, how's it going?
Hello, Shane.
Thank you for those shrimps. Ziggbee, can we get a Ziggbee shout out? What do you do? Boing?
Oh yes, I do points.
Okay, yeah, do your
Boing.
thing.
Boing, 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 boing.
Okay.
That's it.
We did lose a couple of viewers from that, so we're stopping that. Okay. I'm just-
Yeah, we probably did.
Um,
Would I be your bridesmaid? I don't know what those do. Thankfully, in the wedding, we didn't have any official complicated tasks. We just had to be there and have fun.
Yeah,
Oh my
but we got the best table.
We did actually get a good
Okay.
table. It was fairly close to the dance floor, and we could see the the bride and groom. It was very nice.
So we go there. I'll say the whole thing real quick. Okay, this is what happened. All right, this is my memory, and some of it might be a little fuzzy. So we stayed at a hotel, and they had like a nice shuttle going to the wedding. So there's all fancy people in there.
Yeah, it was...
And then we got there, and then there was the cocktail reception in the fancy like mansion library venue. So we went in there, we got some cocktails.
And I think you threw your drink across the room and was like, ah! And you threw it, right?
Yeah.
Spilled it? No,
we
I'm just kidding. You didn't throw
straight
it.
for there. They didn't have no coconut water. But then let's see what happened after that. Oh, wait, what happened after that?
Eventually, I like one of the people. I forgot her name. She's so sweet though. One of the people attending said, what's happening next? Because we were given lots of snacks at the was it cocktail thing, and the person said, oh, next we're gonna escort you to the dining area, and she was like, we're gonna get more food.
Yeah. You skipped the vows, Ziggbee.
Oh,
it was the most beautiful part.
The vows,
okay, I cried with my friend getting married.
It was
and
so
she
cute. Yeah.
She's so nice, and it was so beautiful. And I love it. I get a little otter tear, coconut water tear fall down.
Oh my gosh.
These are beautiful vows. Oh, I loved it. And then we got tons of food. They had different stations of like sushi. They had Cuban food. It was like crazy. Yeah, too much food.
I like it though.
And then we did dancing. Look, I know you all want to know if I danced or not.
You did. Oh, sorry. You're supposed to
I
tell
danced
them
because the bride wanted me to. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
I didn't think Sib would. I was so surprised. I've never seen Sib try to dance. It was like, wow.
Try to dance?
I mean, dance.
Excuse me? Look, okay, I was actually, once I started dancing, everybody kind of cleared out, and they made like a circle around me, and I was doing like my thing, and everyone was clapping.
No.
They're like, woo!
No,
like that.
It wasn't that. It wasn't like that. You just danced some.
Okay, maybe my memory's a little fuzzy, but that's what I remember. You could take my word, or you could take Zigbee's. Shane, I can dance, just to be clear.
Small ass, why you don't dance for them?
Yeah, well, if one of you is the bride, I will dance on the stream.
There you go.
Did I do the worm? You know I did. How'd you know?
What's the
Were you there?
worm? Oh my gosh.
Dance right now?
There was this older couple, not like elderly, but they were older, mature basically. It was this woman and this guy. I kid you not. They knew like their moves. They were dancing like they were actual dancers, and they were like elite. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? It looked like they came out of like the 90s or 80s. And she had a fancy dress on. The guy was all dressed up, and they were dancing so good. I was like, "Ooh, that's very impressive."
I was jealous.
They were the best
and we
dancers
did slow
ever,
dancing too, me and Ziggbee.
Yeah, we did that too. That was very fun. I never did that before too. That was very fun. I'm glad you wanted to do that. You were like, "You want to do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to do that." Of
course, I want to do it, Ziggbee.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And then afterwards, we came home, and then we got really sick, and I got sick for a week.
Yeah, we got sick.
Worth it. Kind of worth it. Kind of worth it, honestly.
Kind of worth it. As good foods.
Good food, fancy dressing up, fancy drinks. Yeah. Oh, I went to the bartender and I was like, "Could you make me this kind of special drink? It's like magic in it." And they said, "We're not supposed to make this drink, but I'm gonna make it for you."
There was too many different types of coconut water in the drink. And they're like, we're not supposed to make any drinks with more than 3 different types of coconut water, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
The funny thing is, the other bartender didn't say anything, but the last bartender went to was like, we're not supposed to make this drink, but I'll make it for you. There you go.
We had to try the same drink at different bartenders because, we want to know which one was the best.
Yeah, how much kick is in that coconut water or whatever? Spicy coconut water.
That coconut water is top shelf coconut water. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Ziggbee, I think it is time.
For what? Oh, is it gifted? I don't hear it though. I'm so sorry. It's probably talking right now.
Oh my gosh, we're skipping all the stuff.
We have. Let me read these subscriptions here. We have Cold Spaghetti Monster. Cold Spaghetti Monster. Is this your first time? Thank you for subscribing 1 month at tier 1. Thank you so much, Cold Spaghetti Monster. Sorry, I didn't hear it. Usually, I sometimes do hear it. It's a 50-50 chance.
You didn't listen to me.
I'm trying to thank everybody. Say, what do you want?
Okay, go ahead. Thank everybody.
Thank you, Cold Spaghetti Monster. Thank you to You Belong with Mara. Thank you for resubscribing for 1 month tier 1, being subscribed for 4 months. And your message is, I love you too so much, Platonic. Oh, thank you. We love you too, Platonically. Thank you. Also, we have Luna Bean 74. Thank you for the gifted a 1 month tier 1 subscription to I'm Rome. Thank you for gifting a subscription. That's very kind of you and generous. Being a Bean community supporter, it's always kind to give us out. Thank you. It helps us. It's nice to give to somebody because Twitch is out of control with advertisers and they won't stop and they're getting more. Okay, sorry. Twitch is out of control with the ads. Luna Bean 70. Thank you for resubscribe. Oh wait, this is a different one. Luna Bean also resubscribed with their Prime. Thank you for using your Prime subscription and being subscribed for 8 months. I think I'm slurring a lot. Thank you, and using the emotes in there. That's cute. Thank you, Kingo. Kingo. I think it's Kingo. 59513. Thank you for subscribing 1 month tier 1 subscription. I think this is the first time you're subscribing, possibly because it would say if it was more than 1 month. Thank you for that too. Are you all trying to create a hype train or something? Is there a hype train going on? I don't know where you look for that. Hype train, are we having hype train? Somebody? I need an adult. Regardless, thank you for all the subscriptions. Thank you everybody. See, Sib, they love you. They love you, Sib. They miss you so much. I'm glad.
No, I don't think so, Ziggbee.
They ask about you every stream, just about. Even on TikTok, on Twitch. They give you shrimps when you're not here.
Well, you just take them?
Yeah, I take them and I try to give them to you, but you're saying I don't give them to you, so you get pity shrimps, so yeah.
That's right. Excuse me.
Okay, what's going on?
Yeah, Ziggbee doesn't give me any shrimps at all.
No.
Okay, it's been like a month.
No.
Tammy Beans, thank you for those shrimps. Woo! Thank you. I will gladly take them. Glitchy, thank you. Axel Latte. Show your thick batonka.
Wait, what?
Thank you for all the shrimps. What can I say? They all go straight to my thighs.
Blocking this or?
This is their first gift.
Ready, thank you. Tammy Beans again. Thank you. Taylor and Paige, thank you. Ziggbee, we gotta do a Pictionary.
Pictionary. Right? We can do a Pictionary.
Okay. Go.
Okay. Oh wait, where are the Pictionary words? Connect.
Oh.
I don't know if this is the right word, so maybe change it so to make sure it's synced up.
The underscore Sandman underscore just gifted 5 subs.
Okay. Okay, ready?
Wait, that one. Wait. Why are these? Okay. All right.
We can do that one. These seem themed for a different time period.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, there we go. Woo!
Somebody got it.
This thing. Oh my gosh, I hit myself in the face with a pencil.
Woo!
It's there. What is this?
Well, I guess
It's a parachute. No, just kidding.
parachute. Well, okay. So I know it's December, but technically it's only the 1st of December. So we're allowed to do pumpkin, which is kind of, yeah, it's November. That's a November word. You get like pumpkin pie.
That's true. Pumpkin pie.
Yeah, Ziggbee, you get pumpkin pie. That's for Thanksgiving. Here we go. Who got it?
Oh, a lot of people. A
Wow!
lot of people.
Oh my god. Well, Shane, nice job! Shane got it first. Very nice. Ziggbee, shout
You
him out.
belong with Mara is second. Third place is Paige. Fourth place is Taylor. Fifth place is Clychie? Baichi? Oh, you're new here. I have never seen your name before. Oh my gosh.
Ziggbee. Whoa.
Ziggbee. Sandman, 6th place. Dorn, 7. Axolotl, Small. What was that 100% thing? Oh, thank you everyone for doing the hype train. It says hype. 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 Completed level 3. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. Small is number 9. 10 is Tatum Pancakes. 11 is Tama Beans, and 12 is not Cha-Cha-Lala. You know, Cha-Cha-Lala gives lots of jokes in chat. And I stream on Pokemon. Zazzy Ferret, thank you for showing me where the Dragonite is. I need to look for that some more, maybe. Dragonite! It's adorable. I like it. It's kind of got a belly on it. It's kind of got a belly.
That's okay.
It's like it's like if Charizard was like a gym person, like athletic. Was it? I forgot the name of it. What was the name of the dragon?
Dragonite.
Dragonite, right? Oh my gosh, my brain is going.
Forgot that.
Dragonite's like a couch potato.
Yeah.
But adorable, an adorable couch potato. Oh, sorry. 13 is Zazzy Ferret. 14 is A Riddy. 15 is I'm Rome. Thank you for participating in the Pictionary game and playing. He got well. He go from skinny to thick. Yes, Small. Actually, kind of reminds me of like a cartoon dragon. Wasn't there a cartoon for kids? It was called like yeah, Dragon Tales. What was that? Tama Beans. What? Tama Beans. Thank you for the direct tip. Hopefully, I didn't miss any other direct tips. Thank you, Tama Beans.
Tama Beans, thank you.
Very generous direct tip. Also, thanks Sandman. Sandman, another sugar bean. Tammy Beans and Sandman. Thank you for the 500 bits, Sandman.
It's Halloween bonus time.
Dragon Tales. Yeah, Dragon Tales. Taylor, that's it. That's Dragonite's kind of reminds me of Dragon Tales.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Dragon Tales.
That was cute cartoon though.
These are actually Christmas bats, if you want to know.
Oh, Christmas! Actually, I saw a TikTok of a person taking all their bats and just putting little Santa hats on all of them.
Oh.
I think that counts. Wait, I think it's
real bats.
No, decoration bats.
Oh,
decoration. Okay. Oh my gosh! Actually, in the Discord, they have a real bat with a Christmas hat in the bat channel.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very cute. Bats are adorable. Unless they're trying to get in your attic, then it's not fun.
We've had a couple of bats in our attic. Yeah. That was scary. We had a bat in the house one time.
Yes, we did.
Okay, look, I can't. If something,
can we tell that story?
Something's flying at me, I just can't handle it.
It was so strange. It was so strange. It was at nighttime. I was like, I'm gonna go get some food, Sib. Okay, let's get something yummy. I'll go pick it up and bring it right back. Okay. I started driving like not more than like a couple minutes. I wasn't far from home, and then I get a call from Sib, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is something wrong? I better stop somewhere and listen to what it is. I think I pulled over to a parking lot, and Sib was like, "There's a bat in here. There's a bat flying around." And I'm like, am I going crazy? What do you mean there's a bat in there?
Yeah, it was okay. I was on the couch. I had a blanket. When that bat came out, look, I just hid under the blanket, and then I called Ziggbee because that thing, I can't. Flying things are not. They scare me too much. Okay, and that bat was like flying around the room. And I'm like, ah!
Sib's not joking. Sib was hiding under some blankets or sheets. It was hiding. Yeah. I felt bad. I came home.
I'm not ashamed to admit sometimes I scream, okay?
I drove immediately home afterwards to find out what is going on. And then I saw the bat, and it was just flying in a circle in the room. And then it went up into the bedroom, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? So what we did happen doing is open the door and have like a big cardboard piece and very slowly walk forward so it knows like, you can't fly here, you should fly out the door maybe. And eventually it did fly out the door.
Oh my god.
It was like, oh my god. It was flying in a circle.
Yeah, Timmy Beans, Ziggbee did save me.
Aw, of course it
Ziggbee
saved
the
you.
Gray.
Aw,
Secret
I,
just subscribed.
Ziggbee was the one holding the cardboard. I was the one behind Ziggbee screaming. Every time it go in the direction, I'd be like that.
They're so cute, Sib. I don't know why you don't. Are you scared because there's flying stuff, anything, even if it's cute?
Yeah, I can't. It's flying things. It just, yeah, I can't. I just can't.
It's adorable.
You know, I just can't.
It's adorable.
It's what?
It's They're adorable. Wait, what is this?
Adorable.
The bat is adorable. You're adorable too.
Okay, I don't look. I'm not adorable.
You're adorable
I'm
too.
big and I'm strong, otter.
Yeah, you
Okay.
are. You're a strong.
Look at these muscles.
Whoa. Look at those muscles.
Okay, I just had to say that. Okay, I just had to clarify.
Put those.
Ziggbee, what?
big
You're not doing
muscles
these redeems
away.
anymore? You're just canceling
Wait,
that?
what's going on?
You're not doing redeems? Like that's not a thing you do
Oh
anymore?
my gosh, it's a wall redeemed. What does it say?
I'm just kidding.
Question answer.
Yeet!
I'm at my
For
dad.
I'm Rome.
I gotta read this. I think.
Oh.
Wait, what order is
Oh
this
my
in?
gosh.
Oh no, I gotta do the old one
Shit.
first. Yeet. I can do that. I'm Rome.
Ziggbee, you've been skipping all these.
Okay, I'm not skipping anymore.
These, cheered bits too.
Yeet. There you go. Group hug.
There you go. I'm Rome.
Group hug from Isabel. Girly, come here.
Isabel
There you
Girly.
go. Get a hug.
And you know, everybody else, you're welcome. Come in here.
If you want. Only if you want
it.
hugs, okay?
Only if you want
There
it.
you go. Anybody who wants to hug you, come over here and give a hugs. There's some hugs
That's,
for you.
that's what we do around here, okay? Group
Oh,
hugs.
group hug for all of you. There you go.
Mhm.
That was a long group
We
hug.
patented it. Is that patented it? How do you say it, Ziggbee?
I think it's patent pending. That's if you're
Patent.
trying to
We
request
patented
it.
it.
You're patented.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you see it on any other streams, you let me know.
Oh my gosh, I teleported. What am I doing?
Um,
Oh my gosh, I'm teleporting. Okay, stop. Okay, I'm better now.
Ziggbee?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Look, you gotta thank Petring Rat for the 200 bits. You just don't. You just
Oh, wait,
ignore.
Oh gosh, did I forget it? Okay, where's Petring? Oh, Petring Rat, you know what? Petring Rat, thank you for the 200 bits. I never got to Twitch notifications, so I hope I didn't miss too much. Welcome back, Sib. Show love
Oh, thank
100.
you.
Show love 100. That's an emoji. That's an emote. I don't know which one that's
Oh,
like.
thank you,
I'm sure it's like
Petring Rat.
love.
I'm happy to be back. It's been so long.
Yeah.
I'm
Wait, how did it
I'm
go
a
to
little
Hype Train
rusty.
4 secretly? I thought it was like 3. Thank you for everyone for getting to Hype Train 4. Now, if we get to Hype Train 10, we give away free games. No, just kidding.
Do we?
There's this
Oh wait, Hype Train. What level?
10. I don't think there's a limit on
Okay.
the Hype Trains anymore.
Yeah. Oh wait, there
I'm
isn't.
not sure if there is anymore. I heard some people saying that. I'm not sure if it's true or not.
Interesting.
No, I saw one streamer. I'm not gonna say who it is because I don't want to get hate. I don't want to get heat. But sometimes there's streamers that say if it gets to a certain level, I'm gonna give out a game, and it's like they don't ever usually get that high, and it's like oh my gosh, and they put their difficulty really high, and it's like oh my gosh.
Thank you, Sandman. Thank you. I appreciate.
I'm
appreciate you.
casting shade all over the place. I'm sorry. Sib,
No, that's a good idea. Why not just give them away, like you know, a present if they accomplish a unachievable goal? I think that's a great idea. That sounds like business to
oh
me.
no, but
What?
oh no, Sib. I keep almost saying
What?
babe. Is that okay? I sometimes call
that's
Sib
okay.
babe.
That's okay. Oh my gosh.
I say I love you, babe. Sorry, Sib.
Oh, I love you
I keep
too.
slipping out. Oh, sorry. Hi, Sib and Ziggy. Hello. Hey, Fuzzy. I gotta do more redeems though. Boing, boing from Taylor. Okay, I'll do that in the background. Boing, boing, boing out the window. Glass shattering sound. Boing. I can't go. I can't do that. Oh, free yeet.
Yeah.
Yeet. You can't go.
Free yeet, Ziggbee.
What? You can't go outside, Sib. They don't let you in this place.
They don't let you?
No. It's too
So I get
dangerous outside, perhaps.
Oh,
Oh, but Skip, be careful. Jeez.
yeah.
What are you doing?
What is this? What is this barrier?
I don't know. I think it's called
Can I-
glass. Glass.
I can't open it?
No, it's like
Oh my-
it's
oh.
locked.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know what's
All
going
right,
on. Some places like this you can go outside, but that's okay. You don't have to go outside. It's warm and cozy in here. No, don't let the cold in. Thank you, Axolotl.
true.
That's true. It's very expensive. Oh my gosh.
Are you my parents?
What?
That's something my parents
Oh,
would say.
yeah.
Don't let the
Close the door and stuff. Don't let the heat
Yeah.
out. It's expensive though. Sometimes it's expensive. like AC and stuff. That's expensive stuff sometimes.
It's too expensive.
What else? Oh, a geek, Torah Secret. Is that like Victoria? Geek Torah Secret. Thank you for the 1 month at tier 1 subscription. Welcome, Ziggbee.
Woo, thank you. Welcome.
Yes, and I think I got everything. I think I got everything. I hope so.
Should we do the other redeems or?
Oh, is there more redeems?
Okay, we're canceling redeems, so no longer submit that.
No, Luna
Wait,
Beam
we're
loves
doing
boinks too. After I have some tangerine. Nom, 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 nom. Okay, sorry.
Ziggbee, what is that?
I didn't get my
Wait,
vitamin
what was
C
that?
up. Boing, 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 boing. I sound
I
like.
see some stars, Ziggbee.
Oh, sorry. Don't worry about that. I kind of feel like that. I didn't think I see. Was it Dora or something? What show had the seagulls that go oi oi oi? I don't know what they say though. But it's like
what?
Boing, 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 boing. Was it in Dora or something? Not Dora the Explorer. No, the fish.
Finding Nemo, they were saying mine.
Mine.
Like that.
That's it. Thank you. Boing, 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 boing.
Ziggbee, calm down. We can't have
like
too many
that.
boings.
Okay, I'll stop that.
It's you're gonna get out boinged. It's already 8 p.m. Okay.
Thank you for telling me what show it was too. That's right. I say random things. I'm glad some people know what I'm saying. Sometimes random stuff. We have a question and answer from 6 minutes ago from Peachring Rat. Peachring Rat, your heart that's rainbow, beautiful. That means you're a long-time subscriber. I'm at my dad's, so I can't stay long. Will you be back again soon, Sib, or should I ignore my dad? Whew. I've been here since Sunday.
Spend time with your dad. I'm gonna try to be around more.
Yes, give up all your obligations. You don't need anybody else. You just need us. No, just kidding. I'm joking. It's terrible. Don't do that.
Pay attention to me.
You should be always
donate more bits.
Always
right
pay
now.
attention to your real life friends
Ignore
and
your
family. Oh my gosh. Most we can do is
Ziggbee.
entertain.
No, spend some time with your family.
Yeah, spend time with
okay.
your family and stuff.
Have some fun. I'll be around.
Yeah, thank you, Seb. I hope you are. Also, they said I've been here since Sunday, so he'll be fine. Don't worry about him.
Nah, spend some time with your family.
Yeah, spend time with your family. It's perfectly fine.
And I'm Rome asked, do you play Pokemon? Look, I played it. I played the originals. Okay, and when they came out with Generation 2, I was highly disappointed. So I never played Pokemon again. Look, there's 150. You're gonna just add more to that?
So high.
You can't like. What do you don't just like. Oh, gosh, that made me so mad. Look, you try to get all the Pokemon cards, and you can't get all the Pokemon cards when they add more. Like, so you try to have like a complete collection, and there's just more. You just keep changing the bar. All right. What are you talking about?
I'm standing in front of the chat. It's in my face. I tried to climb over. It wasn't working.
Oh, okay.
Did you see what Peachring Rat said? Well, I'll leave. What? If
Sip's sounding a little old. No.
Sib is not old. Sib is young of spirit and heart. I'm the one that's old.
That's correct.
I'm very old.
That's
very old.
Ziggbee is. How old are you, Ziggbee?
Hundreds of years old, probably.
Hundreds.
I don't know. When you start doing time travel stuff, you don't know anymore. It's like, I don't know.
It's true. Pictionary. What? We gotta do some Pictionary.
What?
Let's see. Let me see here.
Well, Peachring. I didn't read Peachring.
Sib sounding like a Karen. Excuse me.
Oh no.
Just because. Look. Okay, you're the one. How many Pokemon are there now? 2,000? 10,000? I don't know. You're the one trying to collect all those cards. Okay, I was smart. I stayed at the 150, and then it's done. How are you gonna tell me? How are you gonna tell me that there's a whole Pokemon world? Okay, and you collect all the Pokemon, and then what? There's more? There's a trash can Pokemon? Like, what's going on? Like, what is this? I don't understand. The original Pokemon is where it's at, okay, and you can't change my mind. Too many Pokemons.
Too many Pokemons.
We gotta play Pictionary.
Pokemons. That's how you say it, Sam. That's how parents say it. There is a Pokemon that looks like a dog, but actually is bred. Well, they do have a dog that looks like it has two, what is it called? Cinnabons on its ears. Like Princess Leia. Meh. What? I named it Donut. Oh, okay, that would be fitting. Sib, bestie, I hate to tell you this, but the real world has over 150 animals. Pokemon needs a lot to be
Right.
I think there's more than 150 animals, right? I hope there's more than that.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, how are you gonna keep up if they keep adding animals?
Oh, there's only 150. I think there's more. Oh, I made a mistake, Small.
Yeah, they're-
Small, I looked
that's
at my
the problem.
phone. I looked at my phone. The center of the Earth is not copper. It's a nickel alloy. And that's it. It does generate.
That's it.
I think it does help generate the magnetic field, though. I
It
think.
does some magnetic thing that does some things, and
Wait,
possibly
was it
helps.
nickel alloy? I forget now. Iron?
I think it was, and it also helps keep the Earth warm, and also helps the tectonic plates.
Yeah, tectonic.
Something
The
like
plates. They move. Ooh, they move all over the
that. Yeah,
place.
they're flying all around.
Whoa.
All right.
Oh, 150 million.
Surprise!
Whoa, that sounds.
It's Pictionary
Sounds
time.
more like it.
If I can start it, and there we go. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay. All right.
Is there a highlight function? Why is it called a function? Are you spending points to
okay.
highlight your messages? Where's the bees?
Ziggbee, you're blocking
Oh,
it.
sorry. I'm trying to read message. I love both of you so much,
Okay.
and I'm glad to see you guys back. How are you both? We're doing great. We're doing great right now. We're doing really good.
Beautiful.
It looks like
They got it.
talking to the moon. That was on my playlist of Spotify of songs I listen to. I posted in Discord. Though my songs are kind of strange because I don't listen to it often. I listen to it maybe in the car, maybe while I'm streaming. So I have a weird song list. If you go on Spotify, Sib, they'll show you a summary of your 2022 songs and stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's cool.
Do you see that? Do you see someone?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's really cool. I like that they do that. It's interesting. I have weird songs though. I think my top
know.
one was "Break Your Heart."
I'm surprised there's no like sitcom intros.
No, I don't listen to those.
What's the one you really like?
Family. Wait, is it? Oh, what's it called?
What do they say? I forget it. If you say it, I'll remember.
Something about the paper boy. Yeah. No, that's milk. Getting milk delivered.
No.
Is it family? They're in, okay. Listen, I bet watch. This is so cool. Watch the chat. Watch how smart the
Okay.
chat is. They're so smart. Okay, everybody, listen. We need to find a name of something. I know you can find it for me. I'll give you hints and you'll figure it out really quick. Okay?
Yeah.
It's an old sitcom from the 80s or 90s. It was the intro is recorded in San Francisco, and it's a family with twin girls, another girl. Wait, do they have a boy? Did they have a boy kid too, or just all girls?
I don't know.
I think it's all girls, possibly.
I'm not
Full
that
House.
old.
Full House. Thank
House.
you. Featuring Rat. There you go. See how smart they are. Featuring Rat.
Can we get the Full House
Grumpy.
intro playing?
What?
Can we get the Full House intro playing?
Wait, when we play it?
Special dance.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Can you play the Full House intro song and dance to it?
Okay, I have to open Spotify, and YouTube is going to be very
Axie
angry at me, but I don't
just
care because
resubscribed for
they're a
9
pain
months.
anyway.
Hey, you too.
Let's see
I
here.
missed you too. Blue heart, fried shrimp. Fried shrimp.
Okay, I see
fried
Paige
shrimp.
asking
Also,
whatever
my 1-year
happened to
anniversary of
predictability, the
finding this
Milkman,
community
Paperboy,
is
and
coming
Evening
up in February, and I
TV.
couldn't be
Please
happier.
take your
Here's
rants
to a 9-month
outside of
subscription. Blue
this
heart, fried
Twitch
shrimp.
stream, okay? This is kind of like a entertainment space. So I'm just kidding.
That's funny. Thank you, Sim.
Cop, what's your question? I will answer. I will try if I see it. I might not see it. Ziggbee, look at there's sugar
What?
on there.
Oh, thank you for the sugar. I don't need any more sugar. I like sugar a lot though. I had some M&Ms earlier today. Is that a brag? Oh yeah,
Oh wait,
I
we
had
gotta
some
show who
M&Ms.
got moon.
Yummy. Oh yeah, we can do the moon. You can do that while I'm trying to figure out how to play something.
Okay. Let's see who got it. I bet it's a lot of you. Oh. All right.
Bum, 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 bum.
I did see some late answers. So
Talking to
Small,
the
you
moon.
got it. Woo! Nice job, Small. Shane in second. Shane, you're doing really good tonight. Axel Latte, third. Taylor, Paige, Isaac, Duran, and A Ready. Nice job. And you know what? Thank you all for the shrimps. Where the bees are. Grumpy like it. I knew I could count on you. Wow.
Anonymous
What is
just
this?
gifted 5
Anonymous gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Ziggbee, I am bringing in the cheddar tonight. Okay, thank you.
I'm playing Full House, Sid, by the way, too.
Oh, you got Full House? I would dance, but my knee is my knee.
Looking like cursed.
No, you're doing great, Ziggbee. You're doing great. Yeah, spin. Woo! Okay, all right. There you go.
I did it.
Yeah, you know what?
Hopefully I muted the other
That was
song I
fun.
did.
That's cool.
There you go. I'm out of breath now, and my body's
excuses.
cursed. Let me fix it.
Ziggbee, why are you making excuses saying your body is cursed? I agree with you, Small.
I'm out of breath. I'm getting rusty. I'm sinking into the ground. Goodbye,
Whoa, Ziggbee,
world.
Ziggbee, no! No, Ziggbee, no! Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I mean lots of
Ziggbee, you're
curse.
falling.
Oh, wait, what happened here? Someone did something. What are they doing? What's going on here?
We got 5 anonymous tier 1
Oh
subs.
my gosh. Sib, you do bring in the cheddar. Look at you go.
That's what I'm saying.
Anonymous,
every
thank you for
time I'm on screen, that's when it all comes in. We get subs,
That's when
gifts.
it happens, yeah. For reals. Maybe you should come on on TikTok with me.
TikTok. Oh, okay. It's been a while since I've been on TikTok.
It's okay. Thank you to Anonymous. I don't know who you are, Anonymous. I don't know why you're trying to be secret about it. But you can be anonymous. Don't hack us, please, though. Thank you for the 5 community gifted subs. Thank you so much. It's very, very generous of you. Oh my gosh, very generous of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandman and Luna, for those
Thank you to Axie and Shade as well for resubscribing 1 month, a tier 1, and being subscribed for 9 months. Thank you for that. Hey, you two, I missed you too. Also, my 1-year anniversary of finding this community is coming up in February, and I couldn't be happier.
1 year.
But here's to a 9-month subscription. Wonderful. Thank you. 9 months is a long. Sib, it's gonna be 2 years.
Yeah, we're at like 19 or 20 months right now.
Oh my gosh.
This is oh my
gosh. What have I doing for two
my
years?
gosh.
What have I done 2 years? Maybe I need to
One of these
reevaluate my
days,
favorite life.
we're gonna get all of our stuff together, and then this is gonna be like really cool. It's gonna be like planned and stuff.
I don't think it is, but we'll try though.
We'll have content.
Yeah, lots of content.
I mean, we got pretty good content. We got Christmas bats.
Yeah.
Christmas Pictionary. Pumpkin.
Aww. Luna Bean says, I was so lost without you guys. Aww. I'm sorry. We're still around though, even if we don't stream all the time. We're here in the background secretly. It doesn't make sense. That's kind of weird. We're in the shadows. I don't know.
Ziggbee.
Well, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying.
You can't tell them those secrets.
Look how. Thank you, Luna. Thank you for the sugar. The sugar, and thank you, Sandman, for using your fancy bat. I think the bat is a fancy one too. Golden Sid Beans and the bat, I think, are fancy.
Yeah, that bat does look fancy.
The shadow
Unfortunately, we cannot get more emotes because Twitch said that Ziggbee is not good enough.
Twitch
Can
said,
you believe that?
yeah, we looked at your stats, and although they match everything for the pre-requirements, we're gonna go ahead and say no for now. Hey, but you know what, buddy? Come back later sometime and request it again, and maybe we'll give it to you.
And then they did like a little laugh. They went, can you believe that, parrot?
I'll
Can you believe
get
that
you.
bear?
I'll get you a
Big
Twitch.
deal.
I'm kidding. You can't get Twitch. How are you gonna get Twitch? You can't stop them. Well, actually, I do stop them a little bit. I stream on TikTok too. Okay.
Yes. Nat, we are the ones hiding under the bed.
Yeah, sometimes.
When you're scared. So
Don't
don't
look-
be scared.
Don't look under there. Don't look. It's fine.
look.
It's fine.
Mhm.
Sib always says if there's scary things, pretend it's like your friend. Pretend it's
Yeah,
like
be
your
friend
your
them, that's
friend.
it.
It's okay.
That's it.
Just make it your friend. It'll be fine.
That's it. That's how I overcame like nightmares.
Yeah.
If something like weird's going on, you just be like, hey, what's up? Yo.
Mm-hmm.
And then like usually they're friendly.
Yeah. See, that easy.
All right, more Pictionary. Ziggbee, how many more Pictionaries we're gonna do? We have to settle this.
How many did we do so far?
Like 3.
Let's do at least one more. This is not good to do just 3 though. How much? I haven't done this in so long. I don't remember how many I used to do even.
Like 5.
Probably around or 4. Let's do at least 4 for sure.
Okay. How about this one?
Yeah. Let me see what it looks like.
Okay.
Yes. Would you like me to draw that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pick out a
Christmas
colored
theme.
pencil. Wee. I don't know why I'm saying we grabbing pencils.
Whee!
It's fun, I guess. I don't remember how to draw this. Tell me when we're
Why
beginning
is this
too.
thing covering up my chat? Okay. Why can't I see you?
What do you mean you can't see me?
I no, can't see chat.
Oh, what's going on here?
I'm
I
like,
saw it pop up. Right.
there you go. There you go. I'm back. I can see you. No,
Can I
wait.
go over here.
It's not bat.
Get over-
And actually,
over to the
like you're not supposed to. I explained it earlier. Okay, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to guess before we start drawing. Oh, Zigbee's drawing. Yes. Yes. What is that? Okay. Oh, that's they. Not. Oh, they got it, Ziggbee. They got it.
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Ziggbee, I think it ended.
You can see it. Wait, do these have tails? Or do they have horns?
Horns.
I think I've been playing too much Pokemon. I don't know what animals look like anymore.
You know what? I can't. What is an Aerodactyl in real life? Because that's all I ever say is just Aerodactyl.
What's an Aerodactyl?
That's the flying dinosaur?
No, pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl?
Yeah.
Okay, I never guess that. I always say Aerodactyl.
Aerodactyl.
It's too close.
Same.
Okay. Oh, we gotta show the winners, Ziggbee. Oh my gosh, I'm losing track of everything. What's a toad? What is a toad?
Oh, what? Oh, it's
Like, what's the difference from a frog? And why is it? Is this holiday Christmas themed,
yeah, it's
Ziggbee?
Christmas frog. Christmas story about a frog. Learns the spirit of Christmas or brings Christmas to people.
Okay, that sounds good.
One or the
I
other.
like that.
One or the other.
Frogate, no. Isaac, no. There is a Christmas story about a frog that, what'd you say, gets a hat?
Woo! No, that's Frosty the Snow person. Wait. Oh, you're talking about really old stuff. Warner Brothers, the frog.
Wait, what?
It would sing when it has a hat, and when a particular character would look at it, it would go,
Oh, how is it Christmas
"Hello, my
themed?
baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my." This is really
Okay.
old stuff. Jeez, that's like old history.
All right, that's not what I was
Oh.
referencing.
What frog though?
But anyway, I will show the the score answer. Okay. I'm gonna go.
How far are we going back in time, Sib? I don't know.
Ziggbee, you're going back way too far.
sorry.
You gotta tone it down,
I'm
okay?
sorry. I went too far back in time.
Frogs are aquatic, toads aren't. Really? Okay.
Really? Frogs are aquatic, toads aren't?
That's
How does that
interesting.
even work? Frog doesn't like to be in the waters?
No, frogs like the water. Toads don't.
Toads are just on the land.
Oh, we got a shout out. I forgot.
What's this?
Whoa, Riddy. Oh my gosh, we got 2 first place. Riddy and Paige. We got a geek. Oh my gosh, we got to fix this font. We're going to fix this font. Okay, it's only been 2 years. It's not too long. Geektoria Secret. Third place, Isaac Small, Axel Latte, Shane,
Oh my
Ray,
gosh.
Nat Cha Cha, Sandman,
woo.
Tatum Pancake. 1 second left. Very nice job.
I like this move. I don't do this now.
Okay, we're gonna frog gate, and this is not good. Why does this always happen? Okay, let's go ahead and
First time talker posting an emote. What is that? What is that? A furry or something? What is that? Looks like a furry or something. What is that? It looks like a canine type furry. Yeah, I think. I'm not sure. It's Nuke Fox. Hello, Nuke Fox. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, I have returned. Thank you for returning, Arity. I would be sad if you did it, because no one would help me with my Englishes. And plus, they're very sweet. And
Ziggbee, is this the last one or second to last?
what
What
are
do
we
you think?
This would be the 5th one, so probably last one.
All
Last
right,
chance.
this is it.
Last chance.
It's all down to this.
Last chance.
Last chance. Is there?
How do you say it?
Okay.
I'll chew. Oh wait.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a difficult
bubble
one.
gum and kick tail or something, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Well, let's Duke Nukem. Never mind, random thing. Or something like that. I never played that game. What are you? What are you drawing, Sib?
Why is it so high up there?
Cold
How'd it
spaghetti,
get up
you
there?
Duke Nukem. Why do you keep jumping? It's a couch. You want to make the couch transparent? You can click over here and it makes it like so you can walk through like a ghost. You can be a ghost type
spooky
Pokemon.
ghost? Okay. All right.
I'm gonna do it too, though. I wanna participate in the ghostness.
Okay.
Look at everybody. I'm the ghost that haunts the sofa. Ooh.
Horse. Spider, giraffe, unicorn.
Oh my gosh. Watch, behold. I will go through the couch.
Okay. Pony. Cat, dog, ferret, horse.
What is that?
Which cat? These
That's
are
adorable.
Christmas-themed words. Please keep that in mind in your guesses. They got it,
don't know if
Ziggbee.
they're
The answer was
Christmas-themed.
black cat
Black. It was. Oh, it's 2 words.
because you know some people get like cats as a present for Christmas.
Yeah, black cats for Christmas. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
pretty common
Yeah.
tradition.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All you gotta do redeem 2. Sib's Ultra Premium Pocket Stars. A mysterious muse wants your pocket stars. Sib, I think maybe the
My
sickness.
pocket stars?
Maybe when we got sick after
Mine?
the wedding, it was from your pocket stars. Maybe it was.
Wait, what?
Maybe you got sick from your pocket stars.
Look, all right. I was at the wedding. I was throwing out pocket stars. I was the flower otter that goes down the aisle. Except instead of flowers, I use stars. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Oh,
I mean, I gotta do
no.
something with them. What am I gonna do? I got 5 pallets of pocket stars in the garage.
Who manufactures
Muse!
them? Oh, it's okay. Never mind.
Get that text off my face. Okay.
Wow.
Muse,
Sorry.
You want my
Sib
pocket
drew
stars?
a minimalist version of me.
They are
Aw, it did
a
actually.
little bit
small.
stale. But you know what? Here you go. Take as many as you want. I got too much of this.
You didn't buy it
Too
from
much.
like the Santos
Take a
Corporation,
pallet.
did you?
If you want to take a pallet of them,
Whoa.
you know, just send me a DM.
Whoa.
We can make it. No, wait, Axolate, don't. I forgot. We did not do the disclaimer. Do not eat those.
Oh.
Oh shoot,
Don't.
Ziggbee.
Do not eat them.
Pardon.
Do not
Pardon
put them
my
in your
French.
eyes.
Ziggbee.
What?
We didn't do the disclaimer.
What do corporations do when they forget to do disclaimers? Do we
Whoa.
do we blame the consumer, make them feel responsible for it somehow?
Yeah. Look, you gotta read these instructions. I'm pretty sure it says actually on the redeem.
You have to go to the website. It's on the website. The information you should have known. Asterisks.
You should have known.
Yeah. That's on you.
Yeah. It says in our terms of service that anything is void,
Yes.
and we're not liable if
Yeah.
there's a thing.
Our privacy
like
policy says we care very much about your information. That's
Oh,
why we
we care
keep
so
all of
much.
it and share it with other corporate bodies. Okay? We care a lot about it. That's why.
it's
valuable.
You're the product.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our
or something.
That's our privacy policy.
Yeah.
Boing, 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 boing.
Ziggbee.
What?
It's
Yes.
8:25.
What? We're gonna head out.
It's way too late for Boings.
Oh. Sib, we'll be able
we
to have
gotta-
pizzas.
do we need to see the winner for picture? That was a difficult one. Should we do one more?
Yeah, we can do one more.
I guess a lot of people don't get cats for Christmas. That's kind of sad and weird.
No, that's normal traditions, I think. That's normal traditions. You get cats for Christmas.
Must be like, do you not?
All
you
I
don't,
want for Christmas
you don't get cats
is
in the
some
UK
cats
or
for
something?
Christmas.
Is it just a
Something
US
like
thing?
that. Give me some cats for Christmas.
You don't get black cats for Christmas?
I have a black cat and I dressed her up for Christmas. That is adorable, Paige. One more. It says
one
you
more.
belong with Mara.
Oh, show the scores.
Right.
Small, thank you. I might have already broke it, but let's see.
Whoa.
Show scores.
Whoa.
Hopefully it's
Oh, there's
there.
only 3
It's a little bit
people.
delayed. Small! That's why you wanted me to show it. You got it first. Uh-oh, nice job. Ray, second place, tied with Paige. That was a tough one. Small, you are a black cat, void creature thing. So that is true. You did have an unfair advantage, and maybe this black cat present thing is a UK thing after all. If,
I
Small
think
got it
so.
first.
I think so. Yeah. If Small got it, because Small's from the UK, so yeah. Sandman.
That makes sense.
Sandman should have got it too, though. Really, right? Yeah, Sandman should have got it too.
No.
Yeah.
Sandman, is yours not showing up on there? Like, what's up? I feel like I keep seeing you. But okay. You know what? How can this be broken? It's been working for 2 years, so I'm gonna just say that kind of too late.
It has been working for a long time. Thanks to this wonderful ferret. I mean,
okay.
otter. Oh my gosh, my brain is getting scrambled.
What'd you say?
I called you an otter. I called you
What
a
else
ferret.
did you say? A ferret?
Oh my gosh, what am I
Ziggbee.
doing? Give me. I need a
That's
moment.
why I don't want to go on
Beep, beep.
TikTok, because they're always like, "Who is that brown dog?" And I'm like, "I'm not a dog. I am not a dog. Dogs don't have
Test that.
big otter tails
It's true.
and
Oh my gosh.
badonkadonk." Okay. I'm not a dog.
Badonkadonk. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, we're doing another one.
Whoa.
Ziggbee, are you do this one?
I'm gonna disappear
let
into
me
the
see.
couch like Homer Simpson when you get too spicy.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Just kidding. It's PG-13. We can be tiny bit spicy.
PG-13.
Yeah.
We are allowed to be spicy.
On one stream, I think I can do an F-bomb or something.
Can we hear it?
No!
Ziggbee,
No.
just try it.
Okay.
See what-
Fiddlesticks.
Okay.
Like,
Not bad.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
We're gonna have to censor that. That just ruined the VOD. I wasn't serious. I was just trying to make like a
Oh.
joke, but that's okay.
Oh.
That's okay.
Oh, gosh.
We are allowed one
no.
F-bomb, but due to our channel's policy, we probably will remove the VOD. Okay. But wait, what are we doing now? What are we doing? What were we gonna say?
I don't know what's going on, Sib. Woo, woo, woo. Oh my gosh, I'm breaking things.
What were we doing?
We were playing Pictionary
anybody
to find the
know? Who won?
champion of Pictionary. Remember?
Oh yeah, I was supposed to get the next one. Okay. All right. See, Ziggbee, this is how you do it. You just pretend you're talking to them, and then you kind of just go through like the stuff.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going? Woo!
Like our content? We have content.
Yeah, look at all that. Hey, how's it going?
No, we don't have any content. We just make it up.
Okay.
Up here.
Ooh, okay, this is a little bit rough.
Yes, it's rough.
It's a little bit rough. Okay.
Is it working? Is it working? Look at that frog with the horns, the tail under the moon.
Okay.
Up to no
all
good,
right.
I say. I think I did the
You know
ice
what,
dig.
Ziggbee?
Yeah?
I think you all got to stop guessing, because if you keep doing that, then
No
it's not
guessing.
good. We gotta wait till somebody starts
Small, why are
drawing.
you
Okay.
barking?
My tongue is broken. Sometimes it falls out. You just put it back in. That's it.
Sib says things just fall out sometimes when you get old.
Look, okay, when you get my age, sometimes your tongue just falls out.
Yeah, my tongue just
like that,
falls
and
out
you gotta
sometimes
just
too.
Push it in. Oh, push it in. There you go.
Well.
Oh my! Look, it's that's just how it is. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just life.
That's life. That's life.
Okay. What? I feel the ADHD today.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
How's that?
Is this a good word though, Ziggbee? I don't know.
Where's the word at?
Look, this is no. Okay.
That one.
All right.
Um,
Oh my gosh. Okay, one more. You know what? Let's just do it. This one, Ziggbee.
okay, that must be pretty easy.
Christmas themed.
This is not Christmas.
Kinda.
This is not Christmas.
Happy Chrysler page.
Right. Happy
Merry
Chrysler.
Christmas.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. Am I gonna draw a sip? What's going on? You want me to...
Yeah, it's
Okay.
going.
Okay, I'll draw. Woo! Beep, beep. I'll do it over here.
Calm down.
I'm trying to be calm. What do you expect? I mean, I'm trying to.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
Ooh. This.
They got it.
That's right.
That was really fast.
It's a broken iPhone glass on the case.
Yeah. The answer, of course,
Cobweb.
was cobweb, which is a Christmas-themed word.
Yes.
Um,
Isn't Charlotte's Web like about a Christmas story or something?
yeah, like Charlotte's Web. It takes place over a year.
So technically,
And-
it kind of passes over into the holidays of
That
December.
pig.
Yeah.
That pig.
Yeah.
Wait, what does it say? Like fantastic pig.
Fantastic pig.
Some pig. Something like that.
Some pig. Something interesting.
The answer was cobweb. And Christmas spider. Thank you. What is? Oh, I see. Okay, small. I did not know what that word. Quizmois.
Quibbis. Merry Quibbis.
Hey, Rock Jr. How you doing? Some pig. Like, yeah. Look, okay, like, how is... I would be more impressed by the spider.
Sandman, is that how much it
Same.
costs to fix a screen in the UK? Costs 600 quid? I know it's a secret word they use. I think the common folk in the UK use it, not the elites.
Elite, Ziggbee.
I don't know, actually. I don't know. They're called pounds, but they're actually called quids. Merry Chrysler!
Oh,
I yelled, sorry. What's up?
Merry Chrysler.
Merry Chrysler.
Rock Jr., I'm doing good too, thank you.
Oh.
The common folk, yes. You know, we're common folk here.
Yeah, we're common folks here.
That's why we
Squid
say
is
quid.
slang for pounds.
So-
Yeah, small. See?
Let's see who got that.
Honestly, I love the UK. Not the Harry Potter accent. That's okay, I guess. Whatever. I like the more
Can we hear
what?
you say,
Yeah.
what's something British people say?
Yeah, what is something British people say? What do they say? Let me think here.
Would you?
Oh,
would-
hey, you get
would-
out of here! No, wait. That's. Why do I think they're getting mad?
Oh, cooking up a stink. Say it with an accent.
Oh, I'm cooking up a stink. Oh, that's kind of Scottish.
That's pretty good.
I'm cooking up a skink. What the stink?
Or you're
be?
cooking up a stink.
There you go. That's a little bit better. Not quite.
You cooking up a stink.
Is it Australian? You cooking up a stink, mate?
Yeah. Or you cooking up a stink.
Are we gonna get canceled? Is Twitch gonna give us a strike or something for this? I don't know anymore. I don't know where we can go.
Small, you got it first. Tatum Sandman. Cha-cha-la-la, right? Hey, Ray. Axel Latte, ready? Cold Spaghetti Monster, and Paige. Nice job for getting the Christmas cobweb.
Oh, darn, it doesn't. Hey, you cooking up a stink? That's like Brooklyn. You from Brooklyn? We're gonna go cook up a stink in my house.
Hey, hey, you cooking up a steak, huh? I'm cooking up a steak here. Like that. I'm known to have really good accents.
Yes, very good.
Do not quit, Shane. I believe in you. You will get the Pictionary title. We should have stopped at 3. Okay. Should we do one more?
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, we
Who
can.
cares? Who cares?
Let's go.
You know, you know what? What do you call it when you just like make it up as you go?
Impromptu?
I don't know. I want to say. Let me think.
What do the theater kids call it? It's impromptu, right? Let's try. Okay. Good day,
Winging
sir.
it, just winging it. Thank you.
Good day,
Ready?
sir.
We're just winging it.
I sell lumber.
Who are you? Why are you talking to me?
Because I want to offer you fine deals on lumber.
Oh, no, thank you. Not today, all right?
Okay, I'll go away then. Sorry.
First rule of improv, always challenge them. You know, it wants to be like a fun thing. You say, no. This is how it is.
No,
that's the first
I don't
rule
think that's.
of improv.
I don't think that's the rule. That's not the rule.
Do you want it easy? You want me to be like, yeah, give me some lumber.
Okay,
I'm building
okay, let's
I'm
try
building
again.
a cabin.
Let's try again.
I'm building
Okay,
a
you
tree
said no to
house.
me. Hey, what are you saying? My lumber ain't good?
No, sir, I'm just not interested. I don't have any use for lumber.
What are you? You're busting my tail here. The lumber could be used for anything.
Okay, look, I know. First of all, that's a very nice Brooklyn accent. I've been there many times, but you know, I just don't have any use for lumber. Sorry. Goodbye.
Oh, look at this.
Please don't talk. Sir,
Look at this.
Sir, I'm having a hard time dealing with you. I'm not interested in your lumber. I don't have any use for it. Okay, I don't know how to use tools.
Let me ask you this. Do you live in a house?
No.
Wait, why did you live in a house? Do you...
What do you mean? I'm an otter. I just float in the river. It takes me where it goes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you win again. I'll go this
Quiz
time.
must. You need lumber.
I'm gonna sell
for,
you more.
we're
I'm gonna sell
losing
you lumber
people.
one
We
of these
can't. We
days.
can't do that. Okay. You know what? You know what?
What? What?
I'm blushing. Can we end Pictionary? Sure. It's over. Or should we do one more? No, should we end it? Should we end it? Okay, this ADHD is getting me.
Okay.
I don't know what to do now.
Let's
you know,
close Pictionary. Let's close Pictionary.
and Pictionary is done.
Let's close it up. Close it up.
All right.
Closing our doors,
Okay, it's
Pictionary.
closed.
Thanks for dropping by and
One more,
playing.
please. Tammy Bean says one more, please.
Well,
End it.
well, Tammy Bean's asked
Small
for it.
already won.
Give Tammy Bean one more.
Okay, we'll do one more.
Yeah, Tammy Bean gets what Tammy Bean get. I can't speak anymore. Jeez, I can't speak. Tammy Bean gets what Tammy Bean wants.
Tammy Beans.
Is that like pointless to say that? Isn't it the same thing?
Brooks the
Tammy
dog
Beans
cheered
get what
at
Tammy
100.
Beans want.
Tammy Beans gets what Tammy Beans wants. Okay, and we're doing one more of our special
Why is
Christmas
small
themed
Reen at us?
Pictionary. Let's do this.
I like the Reen. Can I do the Reen thing?
The ring.
Yeah, that's what small does. It goes. I think when they're agitated or upset or
Really?
frustrated.
Okay.
I don't know. That's kind of scary. I probably shouldn't do that. People be like, "What are you doing, Ziggbee?" Oh, what are you drawing?
What are you doing?
I don't know. I was just doing Rees. What are you drawing? I should look up the answers and cheat.
What? They got it, Ziggbee.
What is it?
Dang, I'm pretty good at this. It was bat.
It's ice cream.
Christmas bat.
Ice cream
Yeah.
cone.
And obviously, you know, sometimes the bats fly around in Christmas. You hate this game, Shane?
Shane, it's okay.
Shane.
It's okay, Shane. Don't
Shane,
hate
you're gonna
the
get
game.
Ziggbee, when are you gonna create me that Sebesti role, huh?
Don't hate the game, hate the player. Wait, is it hate the player, hate the
Wait,
game?
whoa, Ziggbee, why are you hating them?
No. I was thinking there's a saying. Never mind. It's not important. Never mind. Sorry. I apologize.
Ziggbee, can we get that?
What?
Ziggbee doesn't allow Sebesti role. Ziggbee says that I don't get a Sebesti role.
That's not true. You gotta make it.
I gotta make it, Ziggbee. You're doing all that work on me.
So you're Sebesties.
I'm gonna do it, Shannon. You're gonna be the first Sebesti. If you still want to be, if you don't want to be, I would understand because I should have ended Dictionary at 3. Okay. Well,
Let's just have awkward silence for a while.
Okay, just give you the role. I will. We're gonna one of these days. One of these days.
I'm getting
Sebesti,
cursed.
we're gonna do it one of these days.
Okay.
Let's see who got that.
You belong with Mara? That's a Ziggbee running joke. The bat. So people can guess bat and they get it right
3.
sometimes.
All right.
It's always bat. That's the rules.
It's always
What?
bad.
Boing, 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 boing.
Small.
Oh, what? Oh, you're talking to small. What's you talking to small?
I
about?
have a feeling that we have some cheaters here.
No, we have people that have been around for a long time and know how this game is played.
Yeah, if you know how this game is played, you're not supposed to guess before somebody starts drawing.
No, that's
and
how
you
the
know
game is
what?
played,
I
I
feel
think.
like, look how far I got.
Why
You
am I
must
getting
have guessed before that. For 15 seconds? That's how long it takes me to draw that. I just do one. Cheating. Boing the heck out of the stream. Deal with it.
Boing.
Okay, Small is disqualified.
No.
Sandman's disqualified.
No.
Axolotl. Like, don't give in to that peer pressure, Axolotl. I know you're a good Axolotl, okay?
So we actually can't
Don't
do
give
that.
in
They're
to
both
peer
from the
pressure.
UK. It's a little suspicious for banning 2 people from the UK. I don't know what that says about us. No, you're not
Oh, yeah.
disqualified. You're fine. You're fine.
Let's see who the Pictionary winner of who knows how long. Are we doing streams still? Or we what's going on with the streams?
I think after this we should probably head out because I'm losing my voice a little bit.
We doing streams next week and stuff though? We back at streams?
I think so. Wait.
We're back, baby! We're back!
No, wait.
Better than
Wait,
ever,
no,
okay?
No.
Zigbee's,
Sip. Shh. Listen.
Oh.
Mama Sib's busy next week.
Oh yeah, my mom's visiting next week, so we won't be streaming. Oops. But you know what? After that, we're probably back, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Zigbee's coming back. Okay.
Mama Sib stream. You know, I think if we had another VR set, Mama Sib would probably go along with it, possibly.
We do have another VR set.
Oh,
the old
it's
one.
really old though. It's like from the beginning days of VR. We have to like dust it off and hope that ancient technology works.
I want to get my mom Discord. Should I?
She was supposed to be secretly in the Discord, I thought.
Oh yeah. Never mind. Ignore that. We'll see what's up.
Oh no.
Look, my mom can't get in Discord now because I have to install it. So when she visits, wait. I forgot. We're not. Never mind. Ignore that.
Listen, moderators. I know you can see logs, but if you figure anything out, don't say anything. Okay? It's supposed to be secret.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I'll hide the logs.
What are you talking about?
Moderators can see everybody that joins
Okay, all right.
the server.
Okay, now
secretly.
now they're trying to. Who's my mom? You won't know. It might be Tammy Beans.
Tammy
Sus
Beans.
that.
Tammy Beans is Mama Sib. No.
You never know. That's the thing. You never know. All right.
She might be Mama Sib. Who knows?
Let's see who won this.
Tammy says yes. There you go.
Mom, don't come on. We don't want to get any attention.
Good misdirection, Sib.
Good one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's see who the game score. What am I saying? Who? Let's see.
The winner of Pictionary for this week, which we haven't done for a long time.
And now it's a Ziggbee. I just pushed it. It has a delay for me. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Can you see it now?
I see it now. I
don't.
All right.
Okay.
See this?
There's something else, Sib, I should mention. Small was kind of the Pictionary champion for weeks because I forgot about it. Kind of just left them as a champion. So.
So, well, anyway, Small, you are disqualified for guessing early.
No.
So that is a lot of points. I'll give it to you. But if you play dirty, you're not gonna get. You don't get. I can't reward you for that. It's just not. You know, that's.
So
What do you call that? Bad encouragement or something? Bad lessons.
Life
Don't do
works.
that.
You gotta outsmart, outplay, outthink.
Yeah.
Wait, that's Survivor?
Outsmart,
Yeah.
outplay, outlast.
Outlast!
Okay, this is not a reality TV show. Okay, we're all friends here.
Yeah.
Axolate. If memory, you were disqualified. But due to peer pressure, should we?
Yes.
What do you think, Ziggbee?
Small wins. We have had
Small wins.
We had sus winners in the past. We're not going to change how this works. We have sus winners.
Okay, we do have sus winners.
Whee!
All right.
But
all
really,
right,
if you think about it, we're all winners here because you found this stream and you're having
we're
fun.
gonna give everybody on this leaderboard the
Oh
role.
my god, should I take a
Okay?
screenshot?
We're all winners. Take a screenshot.
Oh, I think it's gonna be
Take a
recorded by Twitch. I'll pull it from there. Are we giving them all Pictionary champions?
You get all Pictionary championships because we're all winners here.
Yeah, I'll do
And
it,
you
Sib.
stuck around.
do
You
it
played
for
some
real.
game.
Oh no, Small's like, no, it's mine. Oh,
Sorry, Small, but I can't. I just can't. I can't.
Small, to be fair. Oh, you're
you know,
hissing. No, hissing,
play by the
Small.
rules.
I think you just want to rub it in Tatum Pancake's
Hiss.
face, really. I see you like troll Tatum Pancake with you winning Pictionary. I think it's a valuable lesson. She does. I see that she does. I've seen it. I think.
Then
What?
it's going to everybody, right? Is that official, Ziggbee? I don't know what's official, what's not official. Things are flying around.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'll
what's
do it
going
official. It'll be fun because I want everyone to be like winners. Everyone's a winner here. Well, this
Everyone's
is
a winner.
unprecedented. This is unprecedented.
This has been
No, it's mine.
the thing.
Oh, no.
We've signed the deal. You are all winners. I'm
Yes.
proud of you.
Yes.
Thank you for playing our game, and thank you for
Wait, Sib,
being.
could I give like Small
a
like
lovely,
an extra
a lovely
one,
person,
like first place,
a
and then
lovely
everyone's winners? of Pictionary?
creature, voids, and all of you.
Bring in your lawyer. They're trying to bring
I'll
their
bring on your
lawyers.
lawyer.
No,
Okay, we
don't
got
do
a
that.
whole legal counsel.
No.
Okay, you will be destroyed.
You will financially ruin.
You will be financially ruined. Okay, so come at us. Come on, ignore that. I don't know if you heard that, but ignore that.
Ignore that. Are we gonna head out? Because I need like lots of water and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this in a while.
They don't even give us hydrates anymore, Ziggbee. They don't
Don't
even give us
encourage them. We're
drink.
gonna leave. They're gonna give us hydrates, and then we will have to refund them.
Okay, we gotta leave quickly before you give us a hydrate.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching.
I hope you had
and sticking
fun.
around.
Group hug though, because we need to give hugs.
Group
I
hug, come
can't
here.
forget about
Give us a
that.
group hug.
Everybody who
Give us a
wants,
group hug.
anyone
There
who
we
wants a
go.
hug, we'll give you a hug.
Don't be
Okay.
shy.
If you don't want one, that's okay. Just ignore it. We won't give you one. There you go.
Okay, we gotta redeem, Ziggbee. We gotta redeem hydrate
gosh, Seb.
from Axel Latte. I'll
Andrew,
do that. Can we do a hydrate zoomie?
We can. I don't know about a hydrate zooming. Do I have to hold the water when I do
that
it?
could-
I'm probably
you
gonna
know
spill
what?
it.
That's a bad idea. Never mind. We're not doing hydrate zoomies. But I will hydrate. Whoa.
End up throwing the bottle
wait,
across the
where-
across the
Oh, there it
room.
is. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know. Oh yeah, I forgot. This one's
Boing.
might be.
Oh,
bad.
let me do
Let me see.
kickies too. Sib, you want to do your kickies? I don't think they've seen you do kickies in like a long time.
Ugh. Yeah, that's bad.
Gotta do
That's not good
kickies.
for
I don't want
water.
to kick your tail, Sib.
Don't kick my tail.
I don't want to kick your tail.
All right.
Oh my
All
gosh.
right. Kickies.
Yeah.
What are we kicking?
Just kick the air. I did like a karate kick there, kind of, I guess. Yeah, let's see. Oh, maybe I should stand over there. You might kick me.
Do not stand there.
Okay. Whoa, okay, whoa. No, no. Hold you back. No, it's okay. It's okay. Oh my gosh.
Hey, whoa.
No.
Okay.
No. It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh.
I'm done.
All right, everybody.
I'm done.
Oh, woo. We'll head out. I gotta calm down, Sid, probably.
I need some practice.
Okay. What are you doing now, Sid? What's going on?
I'm just coming down here to say bye, Ziggbee.
Okay, just making sure. We haven't done this in a long time. I have no idea what's going on sometimes.
Me neither. I don't know what's going on right now.
Okay, it's okay.
Zooms? Oh, we love you all very much. Bye. Thank
We
you.
love you very much
We love you all platonically, of course. We're gonna go ahead and zoom.
Yes, we zoom.
I guess. Okay.
Oh, when you back up though, don't run into the space heater. That thing is really
Yeah,
hot.
watch out that door.
Do not run into the space heater. It's hot. Hot.
Okay.
Well, I can touch it. Doesn't bother me, but ow. Okay, maybe a little bit does.
Okay.
Ready, Sid?
I'm ready.
Are you gonna run that way?
Wait, what way? Oh, this
no.
way.
Oh, I can run your way. That's okay. We'll run towards the camera. That might be more fun.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Watch out.
Do I have to kick?
I don't want to walk on you.
Do I have to kick my foot
All right,
paws
let's
too? Does that
Ziggbee.
make you
Let's
go
Before I
faster?
forget what we're doing.
Okay.
All right, I'm
go.
set. I'm set.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Wait, Sid, I cut you out. Say it again.
Goodbye. I love you all platonically. I'm running away fast. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.